Namaskar. Welcome to Bodhi Television. We invite prominent Buddhist personalities to talk about different aspects of Buddhism in this program. Here today we have Dr. Sumana Siri as our guest. We are presenting some parts of the interview we have had with him recently in Kathmandu. Welcome to Bodhi TV. You have been in Buddhism for a long time. You have seen development of Theravada Buddhism in different countries for the last 50 years. And how do you see the change it's going on in different Buddhist countries? Is it declining, it's increasing?
At the outset, it won't be proper to just make a pronouncement like that. Different systems and different country systems and cultures can fit into only some, not to everybody. You can't take lock, stock and barrel Asian Theravada Buddhism into the Western countries and try to propagate in that form. If you don't understand the culture of the country which you are domiciled and trying to propagate, you become a failure. Buddhism is a universal religion. It can suit any kind, any climes and any times. Climes means climate, and you have to prepare yourself like that.
We see, especially in Theravada context, some monks are following Vinaya strictly. They are studying Dhamma, they are practicing meditation and doing something for their own. But they are giving little contribution to the society and they are doing something according to the changing time. We need all of them. What do you think the society is going to benefit from both kind of things? Some are doing studying and some are doing secular education, they have qualification and they are doing something for the society also.
Now, Buddhist monk's life system is for the development of oneself and the others for both parties. It's not just about social development, it's about the person's development and how he can impart the experience that he gained through that to society, like in the case of the Buddha. So they have to follow that. It's good to have their morals and their standards, but it's also incumbent of the Buddhist societies that communities of Buddhists, apart from the monks, they also have to be a little more enlightened rather than expecting everything for the monks to do and look at them as your netas and leaders and you blindly follow. Everyone has an individual responsibility and altogether they have a collective social responsibility.
In Nepal's context, especially I'm talking about even Theravada again, the monks are hardly seen as activists in the society. They are not showing their participation in the changes. They are not being seen as doing social works. And what message do you have for the monks who refrain themselves from doing that kind of things or being involved in social activities?
Yes, I suppose you are looking from the Nepalese angle, but Theravada Buddhists are not only in Nepal. Theravada Buddhist monks are all over the world, and in many countries they do work what they can, but there's much more need to be done, of course, certainly. And it's important that the Buddhists, as a group of people who are interested to see social development, in a sense they must provocate the monks, come to them and discuss and say, question them. The problem is you simply accept the monks and what they say and say, okay, good. So the time have come that you need to question, because Buddhism is a means of questioning and getting the right answer, not blind obedience.
We have been in this kind of tradition that we listen to them, we obey them and we come back. But how can we see monks coming forward and leading us?
They simply may not come because they think you are very conservative. And those who are progressive, they can only come when you approach them and make a dialogue directly rather than out of respect.
You were also grown in multi-religious country.
Yes.
Different communities are there, where different communities following different religious, they coexist. We're happy. Nepal is also a country of many religions. Despite social harmony, sometimes some sort of subtle misunderstandings take place. How do you manage?
You can't expect a perfect model to work in a country which is not so enterprising. I say so, not just I'm referring to Nepal, but some other Buddhist countries also, which are very dormant. That means they are asleep, they are not awake. Buddhism is a message of awakening, awakening not just the individual, but society as well, the total awakening of all beings in this world, including the environment and the birds as well. So you need to address that issue and also get the monks involved in that, to tell them the value of it, that how you want things to be. So certain demands you have to make with kindness and compassion, even if you are a little bit rude, doesn't matter.
I'm not talking about monks, but the society where different communities live together, and it is good to see that they live in harmony. But sometimes different things appear. We have seen some.
You must give me an example, then I can relate that directly to you.
For example, in Nepal, we are very happy to say that Nepal is the birthplace of Buddha. It is Buddha's land. But Buddhists are in Nepal in minority. We are only 9%. And in this context, when the government facilities, even though Nepal is declared as secular, we see Buddhists have not been able to come forward to secure their space.
I think there's
And
a great...
in this connection, we Buddhists somehow feel being dominated by majority. And in this connection, how can we Buddhists secure our space and maintain the harmony?
You see, why did the Buddha choose Nepal as his birthplace? This is a very important question for us when we look at the universal system. For good reasons he has chosen, but the Nepalese monks and lay people, Buddhists I am referring to those, they have not understood that view, the vision of the Buddha. And you still remain in how you were before, and you think that kind of easy way of going life will bring you enlightenment. It will not, certainly not. It is a struggle.
The time has changed.
Yeah, it is a struggle that you have to come up. And when you are legally now given the space that this is a secular country, no more a Hindu kingdom, then you must make use of that to the maximum. It's the awareness, the social consciousness that must be brought in, and to uplift the Buddhists, Buddhist monks and Buddhist leaders in the community also have to do that. Or else you will lag behind and stay behind and become the same.
You gave some speeches on Buddhism as Buddha as liberation to
Women's liberation.
Women's liberation. I mean, how do you say, and what do you say, is Buddhism really liberal to women, or is there still some restrictions, or women are not allowed to do
Buddhism is not restricting women, it's just that the Buddhists are doing like that, and that's a mistake.
How do you say?
You see, if the Buddha could give women to become the first group to become Buddhist nuns, there were no Christian, Muslim, Hindu nuns before. It starts with Buddhism. So this is something which the Buddha has given, a freedom to the entire womankind. You understand, not just to Buddhist women, to become monks, and you go to the same liberation. Whether you are man or woman, the Buddha says, you go to liberation, to Nibbana by the same vehicle, without discrimination. When such greatness have given to you, why don't you use it to the maximum? You are not following the Buddha, you are following ancient, traditional Hindu or Indian or Nepalese culture. You are not following the philosophy of the Buddha. The philosophy of the Buddha is a progressive movement, whether you are man or woman, without discrimination, that you can gain your enlightenment in society and also in the absolute sense.
Along with many countries, Nepal also has tried to revive the lineage of bhikkhunis. Some tried, and I cannot say they are not fully successful. Some restrictions are still there in Nepalese Theravada context. Some monks are not happy, I mean to say. And how do you think, is it good, is it possible to revive the lineage of Theravada bhikkhuni?
Of course, why not? It's not Theravada bhikkhuni, just Buddhist bhikkhunis. You have to use, they have already been revived. It's working, it's very progressive. In Sri Lanka, more than 1,000 have already joined since the revival of the last 5-6 years or 10 years.
What do you have to say to Nepalese monks and nuns in this context?
Don't be backward. You are given this country is a secular country. Don't stick to your culture. Come out to understand the universal vision of how people should be liberated without discrimination, and don't go back to the old culture of what you call looking down at women, that they cannot be like you. This is male chauvinism, pure male chauvinism. It's against the Buddha's teachings.
You have been in different countries. You have been meeting different Buddhists from different countries, and you see the situation is different from one to another.
It has to be. Yes.
How do you see the overall Buddhist community in the whole world?
No, this is too much an exaggeration to give one reply, because different communities react differently. It will not be right to lock, stock, barrel just give an answer like that. I don't want to be caught in a trap like that. But if I talk about Nepalese, the Nepalese are fortunate people because the Buddha was born here. For him to choose, it shows that he wants you, Buddhists in this country, to be responsible citizens. Responsible to the community and to the larger community at large, not just the Buddhists only. So this the Nepalese have to keep in mind. I'm quite happy because Buddhism was banished from this country, but then it was brought back by Venerable Narada, my first Dharma Guru, the founder of my temple in Singapore. And after negotiations with the king, the royal family, they managed to bring in Buddhism back. But now you have to take it out and also groom in your country well and make use of that for the benefit of every community.
In one aspect, Buddhism is spreading. It's been seen in Europe, America, as including Africa. But Buddhism is somehow losing its ground in Nepal and India. How do you see it?
Buddhism is growing tremendously in India, and I think the problem is with Nepal. The problem is with Nepal because of the background political system that you have had for the last 50-60 years. But now that you have given a secular status and you have the freedom to develop, why don't you do it? Don't dream and live in the history of the past, but to progress further, to look at the mechanism of our day-to-day movements and try to make it a very progressive teaching.
What role could lay people play in this kind of situation?
Yes.
We always wait for monks to move
No, that is
forward.
wrong, because you are leaving it only for them to do. It's your
How?
responsibility. It's not only the monk's responsibility. It's like you try to let the politicians just rule as you want and you wait for them to do everything. No, it won't happen. The people have to uprise. They have to come out.
How can lay people take some proactive step in this kind of situation?
No, they did like in Sri Lanka, when the monks don't do the Anagarika Dharampala, when in India, when the monks don't do Ambedkar, laymen, and then they have a lot of followers and people who do that.
Okay, you have been very close to Nepal's Buddhism, Buddhist circles or monks. How do you see future of Buddhism in Nepal?
You see, for that I must need to be a prophet to tell. For me, being a realist, I don't want to be an idealist and a prophet and tell you something to just make you happy. But if you go like this in the form of lay Buddhists and the monks stay like this, you'll go nowhere.
How can we improve the situation? I'm seeing the same as we have been seeing this.
You need to use the media, since you already know a media group, the media to propagate this and to bring greater awareness and kindle the light so that those sleeping Buddhist leaders have to wake up. Buddha means the awakening one, not sleeping.
You mean to say we need some proactive Buddhist leaders?
Of course, of course.
Among the lay people.
Yeah, if the monks don't do, then you do it. Don't wait for the others and out of respect that things will come out. No. You have to challenge it. Look at the life of the Buddha. He was bred in a Brahmin system. If he just kept quiet and wait for the Brahmin priest to teach him, he goes nowhere and he doesn't get enlightenment. So you see, the truth is a very controversial matter.
Yeah.
You have to be it in like that.
If we try to be realist, then we become, there is a chance of being accused as doing something.
Why do you fear accusation? if you want to do good work, right work, don't fear criticisms. Criticisms are great opportunities. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Because the truth is a controversial thing. It's not just a simple thing that you can simply do and make believe in something and things will work. No. You don't work in the dreamland, you go in the land of reality.
Along with this, we in today's program, we keep inviting different Buddhist personalities in this program. Keep watching Bodhi Television. Thank you.